I'm 26, working as hard as I possibly can with my friends that I grew up with, making my family happy. You know, I'm so sick of people saying that that I'm like lonely and emotional and like associating me with this like longing for a woman or
the sad guy.
Yeah, I hate that, man. It bothers me so much because I don't make the, you know, like I do make music that makes you feel something, but you know, I just don't like. I'm actually not that guy in real life. I'm very happy, you know. I'm not content by any means. I mean, I want to keep working, but I'm a happy person, you know. I'm very excited. My life is constantly exciting. It's not some sad, depressing story. So. As far as the soundscapes go, that's just the music that I choose to make, man. I make my music strictly for the purpose of like driving at nighttime. You know, that's what I make my music for.
What about the aggressive thing? You said this is a more aggressive record. Some people have talked about the confrontational lyrics. Even the record starts off with Tuscan Leather. It's a pretty hard, old school rap song. You know, there's a superficial reading of the confrontational part of this record that says, this guy's doing so well. Just what you described, but even more, the material success, the #1 record, all that. What's he got to be confrontational and aggressive about?
That's just kind of the nature of rap and hip hop music. People have to understand that, you know, it's a very unique genre in that regard. That
confrontation is inherent in the art form?
I believe so, yeah. Competition is inherent in the art form. Confrontation just kind of comes with the territory. And there's something to be said for the fact that, you know, a lot of people talk that talk and you know, just do it because that's what hip hop is about. Well, I'm gonna talk and I'm gonna talk like I'm the biggest dog, but I'm not. I'm actually the one guy, the young guy, the one young guy that can really step up to the plate and talk my game, and I check out. You know, if you choose to go and research, I check out. So that was one thing that I understood on this record. Like, you know, I'm not gonna play this humble, you know, sort of shy, like new guy, like happy to be here role this time around. You know, I've put in enough work, and I plan to put in as much as I need to moving forward. And I wanna make that known. You know, I'm here.
Let me come back to that in terms of the being clear and honest about where you want to go and what you are. But just in the part about the aggression being part of rap, it's interesting, right? Because to a certain extent, forgive the pun, it gets a bad rap. That why is this music so aggressive? And yet the metaphor, it works. I mean, you wouldn't think of hard rock music as, you know, it wouldn't be a surprise that it needs to be aggressive to work,
right?
Both in terms of the way it's presented and in terms of the lyrical content. So there's still an education that has to happen around hip hop and rap, would you say?
I think that there's something to be said for the fact that everybody wants to be the guy with the juice. Everybody wants to be the best. And because we're doing a form of music where it's complete self-expression, a lot of it has to do with talking about yourself. Whereas there's other genres where it's like, you know, of course, you know, that maybe this rock group wants to be better than this rock group, but their rock albums aren't about the genre of music that they're in, or, you know, what's been happening. You know, rap is like, you use rap to update people on your life, at least I do. You know, my music is an update. I don't want to talk to you on social media and
your songs are status updates.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I mean, because I don't like what we're doing right now. I mean, and I'm honored to be here, and I love the fact that I'm here. You know, I'm a proud Canadian, so I'm happy that I'm here. But I don't want to do this all the time, because, you know, I'd rather express what I have to say on the album. I don't necessarily want to just talk through everything. And with that being said, you know, I think that's where a lot of the confrontation stems from in our genre, because, you know, in the times where I'll make a record and then go away, you know, a lot of people say a lot of things, try and state their claim, or, you know, when you're not on an album cycle, there's going to be someone else that wants that spot. So you have to come back with a vengeance always, you know.
Do you?
I like to. I mean, I'm here to win.
You're here to win.
Yeah, 100%.
You like the competitive.
Yeah,
You don't feel like that's just the way it has to be. You want it to be that way. You want to win.
Yeah, I've functioned best under. I've always functioned. I mean, I was the kid that that used to not study for his test, like unless it was like a night before. I function best under pressure. One, and the thing that's changed about that is I never really used to pass my test back in the day. But I feel like I'm passing
You're passing in a big way now.
I came in at the perfect time for myself, which was I didn't need to be something I wasn't, and I made a commitment very early on to just be myself, you know. And what really bothers me the most is the fact that, you know, sometimes I feel like I don't get enough credit, or I'm not making a big enough impact because I'm not enough of a loose cannon, you know, in situations like this where we're doing a one-on-one interview, or, you know, that people just want me to go off more and lose my composure, and then that way, you know, I guess maybe I would be like
cooler,
make more headlines or be more iconic. But that's not me, you know. I'm a naturally poised individual. I don't want to just come out, you know, making mistakes and having to be like, oh man.
But you've also said that one of the biggest misconceptions about you is that any part of you wants to be gangster or hood.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, what are people reacting to when they have that misconception about you, do you think?
I think it's just a lack of knowledge, you know. I think maybe they've only heard one song or seen one clip or listened to one friend and decide to form an opinion just based off that. You know, I've never really, I don't think, done anything that would, you know, make someone say, oh, he wants to be gangster, or he's trying to. The only thing I've done is become a rapper from a TV show, you know, but that's not like, that's just, I was rapping while I was on that show. I always wanted to do this. So, I mean, yeah, I stand by that quote. I don't want that. You know, that comes with pressures. Nobody should ever want that, by the way. You know, that comes with stress that you could never imagine.
You mean to be something they're not?
To be something you're not, and to be that specifically. I mean, that comes with problems that I don't think anybody really wants.
Is that still something in the rap world and the hip hop world? The idea that you need to be hood, you need to be from the hood. Is that some sort of still some sort of status?
Yeah, I think that there's, like I said, there's always going to be an appeal there, as far as, you know, listening to people rap about, you know, killings and drugs and all that stuff. Like it's just, I always say when I'm in the studio, I'm always like, when I'm writing a rap, I'm like, man, if I could just throw a gun bar in here, this thing would be done. And I feel that way, you know. Sometimes it's just such an easy scapegoat. Like, right. You know, I can't rap about that. You know, you have to understand when I'm finishing these albums, remember, there's a lot of things that are off limits to me. And it's not because someone told me they're off limits to me. I just make them off limits to myself because I'm not going to step out of my character just to finish a record.
But you're such an interesting guy because there's a paradox that emerges when it comes to you, the two personalities of Drake, right? There's this confident guy who has bravado, who wants to win, who is number one and wants to be number one and carries himself with that kind of confidence. And then there's the vulnerable, emotive guy who almost converge on insecure at times. Do you see that paradox in yourself?
Yeah, I think that I'm just a human being that's willing to show you that I'm human, you know. I don't know if it's a paradox or if it's like some rare character trait. It's just that a lot of people will only show you the confident side, especially in music, because the vulnerable side is like, they don't want to go there. You know, I'm okay with going there. That to me is supreme confidence. The fact that I could express, you know, the issues that I'm having with family, with women, or with self. You know, the fact that I can express that is, to me, the ultimate confidence. So.
Nicely said. You grew up in a fairly white neighborhood. You're this biracial kid. Did you fit in? Did you feel like you fit in?
This is another thing that really bothers me too. I didn't grow up in a white neighborhood. I grew up on Weston Road. I went to Weston Collegiate. I went to CR, and I went to Weston Memorial. I went to Weston Collegiate for summer school, which is bad because that means I failed. But I grew up like on Weston Road for a lot of my life, and I only moved to Forest Hill because my mother is an incredible woman who was willing to live far beyond her means for the sake of her family. We rented someone's basement and the first floor. I didn't have some mansion. I wasn't, I grew up with a mother that was deep in debt because she wanted the best for her family. So being biracial was obviously tougher in Forest Hill than it was, in the west end of the city. But I sort of made friends as I could, and I had a tough time. Definitely had a tough time. I think I really started to find myself when I switched over and when I got on Degrassi. I mean, I'll never forget the day I got the phone call that I didn't have to go back to Forest Hill for another year of high school, but I had to start high school all over again because I was going to Vaughn Road program for, kids with outside commitments. I didn't even care about doing the 9th grade over again. I was just ready to leave there.
But it sounds like, just so I get this right, it was almost worse than the way I described it. So you grew up in a more integrated place, and then when you transferred into Forest Hill, you start to feel like you don't fit in.
Well, when kids are young, sometimes you can't fault them for the way that they choose to alienate some kids, or the things that come out of their mouth. Kids say the darndest things. I hold no resentment for anybody that gave me a hard time, but I definitely I didn't have an easy time.
Well, there's on your new album, there's a line that goes, "Thinking back on how they treated me, my high school reunion might be worth an appearance. Make everybody have to go through security clearance."
Well, yeah.
Is that a little revenge fantasy?
Yeah. That's just like my way of making a joke about it. Like I said, I hold no real resentment about it, but I did want to mention it because there is something to be said for the fact that I bump into people now, and they're always like, "Yo, man, Joe, it's good to see you, man. We should go out for a drink."
You're like, "Wait a minute."
I'm just like, really? That's interesting.
Aren't you the guy that in gym class?
Yeah. It was actually girls that gave me a harder time than guys. I had some cool friends. As far as guys go. There were a couple kids that, if I saw them outside a show, I don't know if I'd get them in, as far as guys go.
How would girls give you a hard time?
Girls are just mean, girls are mean. They're just mean people when they're young, so it was just like, it was very, obviously like predominantly white, all Jewish school, so it was kind of difficult for young kids to understand how I was like black but Jewish, but it wasn't, there was just, established families, cliques, I guess is cliquey, it was just tough to find people with an open mind that weren't, a little mean. But I'm sure that's a lot of people's experience.
You're known as a good-looking guy now. You're a heartthrob now.
Thank you.
You don't have any trouble in that area. Did you think of yourself as a good-looking kid when you were, did you?
I didn't really, again, I started with girls late because of the atmosphere that I was in, when I broke away from that mentality of, always feeling like sort of this guy that, again, is just like happy to be here. You guys want to invite me somewhere? Like, I'm just happy to go because I got an invite. When I broke away from that and started really finding myself is also where I found myself with women.
So you get into your teen years. Yeah. You become well known as an actor on Degrassi, the Next Generation. Around the same time, you're also starting to get involved in music. Did you know at that point which one you wanted more? Actor, musician?
Yeah, I knew right away, and it had a lot to do with the process of acting. It's just so dependent on so many other things other than yourself. It takes a long time for you to actually get on set and do what you love. You gotta find an agent. Your agent has to be good. He has to get you, or he or she has to get you auditions. Then you gotta go to the auditions. Then you gotta get a call back. Then there's, the project has to get greenlit and this, that, and the third. It's just so many things that have to happen before you get to do what you love. And with music, thank God I found 40, and we became, the most self-contained operation you could possibly ask for. I literally make the music,
You
record
control
it,
the
and
means
mix
of your
it.
own production.
Exactly.
If the career of Drake one day is a book, a full career in a book, what chapter are we in?
Oh man, how many chapters are there?
Let's say there's 10 chapters.
We'd be chapter 4. Yeah, chapter 4.
What's the chapter called?
Nothing was the same.
It's great to have you here, man.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
a
you
lot,
so much
man.
for doing this.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.